Welcome. In front of me is an Honor Magic V2, and today I'll show you a couple tweaks and tricks you can do on this device. So, number one, let's open up our settings, and I'm gonna just run through a couple of the options that you can find right here to customize your device. So number one, we have the home screen and wallpaper. And this is just a neat place for all things customization, like wallpapers, always on displays, icon shapes, and basically packs, along with something that you might have not actually known that is on this device, which is standby on hover, which is just an odd name for this. But basically what this is when you have the device in a semi-open state, like as an example, like this. It's not running right now as it's supposed to. Might be that it needs to be charging. Don't remember. Let's check. Or it's not enabled. It wouldn't be surprising. Yep, there we go. So it needs to be charging. So you can kind of see it. If I start flipping it too much, it does use gyroscope for this, so it knows that it shouldn't be running, so it just disappears. So you can kind of barely see it, but it's a neat way to plug in your device, set it on the side next to your bed, and have a nice clock visible throughout the night. And this is relatively dim, so it shouldn't be annoying while using your device. Obviously, you can also get rid of this if you don't want it. Like I mentioned, we have things like the icons right here, which apparently don't show anything right here. Anyway, let's move over to the next one, which is the display and the brightness. And here we have things like the dark and the light mode, which you can enable in here. You also have the option for auto switching, which allows you to then choose from either sunset to sunrise or on a custom timer. I'm gonna turn it off. Moving a little bit further down, we have things like the ebook mode. Now, personally, if you plan to use something like ebook mode, I would probably recommend just going into the color of the display right here, color mode and temperature. Oops. And changing it to something like natural or maybe even warm. This will be, in my opinion, much better experience. If this is warm, then confused here, but yeah, you can enable such a thing. Or even furthermore, if you tend to read books and you want to have more of an ebook reader mode, you could just download the Google Play books and then go through there and customize how the text looks like and the temperature of the display and all that stuff, and it will be much better than utilizing this mode. It just makes everything gray. It doesn't look appealing, to be honest. Anyway, let's continue a little bit further down. So we have things like the display size. This will be a good option for people that might be visually impaired. You can increase the text or decrease it, though I personally like it on default. It does just have this well-balanced size, at least for me. Next, we have color mode and temperature, which I already did touch upon. By default, almost every phone has a vivid mode, which is normally overdone. On this device, it's not that egregious, but if you find the colors like the reddish colors to be a little bit too much, you can change it to natural, which supposedly uses the sRGB or P3, whatever gamut, which doesn't ever say which one or to what extent, so keep that in mind. But it does provide you with more neutral colors. There we go. And then below that we have also the couple different temperatures, like the default, warm, cold, and you can choose yourself which one you want. And as you can see, it does change the actual color. Now, moving further down, we have the screen refresh rate, which is set to dynamic, and by default, that actually will be a pretty decent option. This will vary between app to app, so if an app can run at 120 Hertz, if you have benefit of that, then it will switch to that refresh rate. But if, for instance, your screen is not doing anything, like right now it is for me, there's nothing moving on it, then the display doesn't need to run at 120 Hertz refresh rate. Therefore, it's going to drop down to, I believe, even below 60 to possibly 10 or 1 frame to preserve as much battery as possible, meaning that the dynamic option is probably the best option over all of those, and I probably would recommend utilizing that. Now we do have the things like standard, which just runs at up to 60 Hertz. So actually, based on this description, it might mean that all of these are going to utilize the lower refresh rate of the LTPO display. So by just the way it's phrased, refresh rate at up to 60, that means that it can go below that. And in this case, you can go through other options to try to get as much battery life as possible. But let's be honest, the lower refresh rates will look a little bit more choppy compared to the buttery smooth of 120, though 90 actually might be also a decent option. Okay, next thing we have the video enhancer. This is something that will consume more of your phone's battery, as it does try to enhance the image by adding a little bit more saturation and contrast to it. But for me, it only supports right now YouTube, which is the only application that I have installed right here outside of CloudStream, which looks to not be supported. Next thing, we can navigate to notification and status bar, and then status bar. And in here we have something that I personally really love, which is the peer mode. What it does, it basically hides all the toggles from your notification bar and keeps only the time, the Wi-Fi signal, and the battery life. And that's about it. Now, it actually works a little bit better, because if you were to pull down your notification, I'll go from this side, or your toggles, it does, I think, if I remember correctly, do show you the notifications that you would normally have. So it's not always going to hide everything. You can, if you pull it down, it does also let you know that you have notifications as the typical icon kind of thing you would see. Now you can also just hide particular things from here. So that is also an option for you. So for instance, we can get rid of carrier name. Actually, no, this is show. Okay, so never mind. I don't want to interact with that. One thing that I would like to do is, when it comes into battery percentage inside. Just adds to that clean look. There's also another option in here for icon badges. So you can display those or hide those, and also choose what applications can display them. Let's go back. And moving further down to, I believe it's right here, system and update, you can change from button navigation to gesture navigation and vice versa. And one last thing that I believe was on here, let me just quickly check if I can quickly find it. Let me just search for it. There we go. So it's in accessibility features and shortcuts. Let's see if I can actually find this now that I know where it is. Oh, there we go. Accessibility features and shortcuts and gestures. And here we have a bunch of different shortcuts. Now, the one that I actually showed was the, or search for was it this one? Yeah, so it was this one. Quick launch, and it allows you to launch the flashlight by pressing a volume, what was it? Volume, where is it? Locked, not double tapping. Oh, there we go, volume down. So just to kind of showcase this, if we do this, it doesn't work, fantastic. Which it should. Ah, there we go. For some reason, if you're in this settings page where you get to change this, it doesn't turn on the flashlight. Oh, for goodness sake, why are not working now? There we go. So, as you can see, it does work pretty well. Now, I personally really like to have a flashlight at a quick access, so I don't need to unlock my device and just fiddle with the notification. So, option like that is just fantastic. Now, one last thing that I want to point out is something that is associated with the foldable aspect of it. So, when you open it up, you will see that you actually have this little, app tray Not sure how else to describe it. And one thing that is neat about it, you can actually swipe left and right on it to show more or less applications. Now on this side you will see the most recent applications, which right now consists of just 2 applications for me. So let's see if we can make that a little bit bigger. So there we go, there's one more and one more. As you can see right now, you can then kind of show or shorten it to show you more or less applications at a given time, which might be useful to some people. Now, unfortunately, I don't think there's a way to bring up this this tray right here at all if you're in an application, which is a little bit of a mishap, something that Samsung, in my opinion, does better. But you do have this. So if you swipe from a side, it shows you this panel right here. Just cut it, and it allows you to access a bunch of applications. You can increase or you can personalize what applications show up in here. And from here, you can, for instance, grab an application and quickly split screen with it. Now, again, Honor is a little bit limited in terms of software, what it allows you to split screen, how many applications you can split screen. So it allows you side by side of only 2 applications, and I can do this top to bottom or side by side. And once you drop it, you can actually rearrange it right here by pressing the button. So in that aspect, it's pretty nice. And it also allows you to have additional application as a pop-up view if you just tap on it instead of dragging it out. So there we go. And it works as a typical app head would, so you can minimize it and have this little app. Yes, I got it. There we go. So you can see now I can use 2 different applications at the same time, plus this little pop-up one. So at once I can actually interact with 3 different applications at the same time, but I won't be able to, as you will see, split screen 3 apps. So unlike Samsung, it won't let me drop an app on top, it just replaces this one. So there is no 3 apps split screen or 4 apps split screen. But anyway, with that being said, hopefully you found this video helpful, and if you did, don't forget to smash like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.